welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeart Radio Network, the #1 network in the United States, and also Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and his good old boys down south. I want to say today is a beautiful February the 2nd, 2017. It is Black History Month, so I want to appreciate everybody who's contributed to the cause of Americans. Some of the greatest culture in the world has come from the continent of Africa, and so thank you for African American History Month. And also I want to say bienvenidos to all of our good old boys down in Latin America. Thank you for following Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network, and of course across the pond and in London, England, and as well as Paris, France. And of course, I love my good old boys from Canada. So, Canada! I know you're going to be watching our Super Bowl down here. I know you good old boys have the Grey Cup. We do it Super Bowl style down here. And I want to say, Big C, there's no one I love more than the land of the free and the home of the brave. How's it going for you good old boys down south, Big C?
I don't know why you shipped us water from California.
Yeah.
But, I thought that the Escalade was flaking up, but now she's all compacted and and everything. And,
yeah.
I know she's feeling good and protected, but, it's like I had a hard time finding the doorknob today.
Yeah, well, that's funny, Big C. You do like Madison Baumgartner. Just go ahead and wipe it off enough until you find the doorknob on that beautiful Escalade. And I tell you, there's so much going on in the world of sports. There's nothing like Super Bowl weekend and how everybody from all over the world, Big C, they are flying into the great city of Houston, Texas, and they're talking about, the Super Bowl and all the different things that Las Vegas will bet on, and I think that can be a game within itself. I do want to say that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, Big C, are you complaining that there's too much mud on the Escalade? You can't find it now, Big C? What you complaining about? Yeah. Yeah.
And I walked out there and I thought my man was gone. So it took me a minute, but I found her.
That's funny.
She was sitting there waiting on Daddy.
Oh, that's funny. You talk about how that car is the standard of the world. I see, sometimes if you think back to the days of high school, when you had a car, maybe your first car, it only had 3 wheels on it, Big C, and you had to get all your friends to lean to the other side just so the car could balance out, Big C. I saw this good old boy it looks like he has some 30-inch tires on this souped-up pickup truck. It was all muddy, like he's going swamping in it. And I'm thinking this guy's going to be about 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". He gets out of his car. He's about 5'2", Big C, but his tires were bigger than him, Big C. Do you good old boys see that down south, Big C?
I like the Escalade. It's a prestigious, SUV to run around in America, and everybody recognizes it, and everybody knows who I am. I don't have to worry about the police coming at me. I only hit the radar and pick up going down the freeway.
Yeah, that was funny. And those guys, they tailgate you more than anybody. And he was driving, it was a jacked up pickup, but he had these beautiful tires. I think the tires cost more than the pickup he was driving, Big C, but he got out. He even had cowboy boots on, and he still didn't come to the top of those tires, Big C. I thought that was funny. But I just want to say everybody has to do, what works for them, Big C. And I know, but the big Super Bowl coming up just a couple more days away, there's an issue that I want to talk about that I think a lot of athletes deal with. And unfortunately, and you can attest to this because you've been around the game so long, there's a thing called prescription drugs for athletes, and it's administered by the teams. It's something that's signed off on by the NFL as a legal drug or narcotic to deal with pain. I heard this good old boy, Kyle Turley, I think you recall him, Big C, played back in the day, and he was talking about cannabis. By using cannabis, which is natural, he doesn't have some of the suicide thoughts that he had. He doesn't have some of the mental duress that he was going through with prescription drugs prescribed by the league. But now that he takes a substance that's not okayed by the league, he actually feels healthier. How can the league deal with reality versus what's prescribed, Big C? Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, you talk about Kyle, one of the more aggressive, better offensive tackles, in the 2000s in the NFL. Played with the Saints, with number 16, about 6'7", 315. Played his college ball at San Diego State, Charlton, and he protected Drew Brees' blindside as well as Bobby Hebert.
Yeah.
So, this was an offensive lineman that went through a lot, but just like any other offensive lineman and any other defensive lineman, every play you get hit, Charlton.
Yeah.
Where some players get plays off, wide receivers, they get plays off, but offensive and defensive linemen take these hits every day. And when we look at these prescribed opiates that players have to take, it's not you need to take, you have to take, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because to be on the field, you have to force your body to do something that is not natural, to respond against pain in a positive way. And these opiates take control of you in many ways. I mean, ask Rush Limbaugh, ask Jim Irsay.
Yeah.
They don't even play. And the opiates take control of everybody.
Rush Limbaugh's still sweating. He sweats sitting down, and I think he has a fan on him, and he still sweats, Big C, because of opiates. Is that what it is?
It's a whole lot of it, Jonathan, but your body goes through withdrawals. When you think about that, you can't cleanse your body, for days at a time. You can't purge any of the waste out of your body because of this stuff. And so that's not natural in any way. Your body develops infections, and your kidneys have to work harder than what's normal for any human being, Jonathan. And your liver suffers. So when you think of these things, and even with males, and that's 99.99%
Yeah.
of football players.
Yeah.
You end up with prostate problems.
Yeah, that's right.
It affects your prostate also.
Yeah.
So, when you look at the internal damage that's prescribed and sponsored by pro football and college football to damage a human being, where these marijuana products, these cannabis products, are natural from birth,
Yeah.
will not do that same thing. And everybody wants to say, well, there's not enough case study. You're going to tell me that, since marijuana's been smoked in America, since the 1800s, that there's not enough case study? You don't see people committing crimes, on marijuana, but it's a sedative, Charlton,
Yeah.
that soothes the body. We've seen it relieve epilepsy in children.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's cut down on the seizures that they had, but, states do not want to legalize it because why? The pharmaceutical companies have lobbyists
Yeah.
that pay these congressmen and senators not to legalize a substance that, a parent could grow in their backyard to help save and ease the suffering in their child's life.
Yeah, and I think the government has a patent on this THC product because doctors prescribe it. So obviously, they wouldn't prescribe it for kids that have epilepsy. And there was even a study on a program. I think it was CNN, where some young girl, maybe 10 years old or whatever, she was having, I think they were saying roughly about 80 to 100 seizures per day. And there's a chemical in the THC, and I'm not an expert on it, but I did see it on CNN, and where they prescribed her this THC in a liquid form, and it cut her epilepsies down, her seizures down to about 10 a day, Big C. That's almost a 10-to-1 drop in seizures. Now, what common sense person would say if it helps a little girl who's just cutting down on seizures, it has to help some of these athletes that are dealing with the CTE that Dr. Omalu talked about. And we have to find a way to not only glamorize the NFL as a great sport, but we have to glamorize the real life prescriptions that can help these people live a better life, like a Kyle Tony. So why is there such a pushback, Big C? I know we can say the NFL is trying to push their other, synthetic drugs, Big C, because the pharmacies have them, traded on Wall Street. But at what point in time are we going to see a change? It's already happening, but when will it be legalized, Big C?
Well, the NFL has to desire, Charlton, to be a medical innovator. When we talk about cannabis, everybody thinks that you have to smoke it to receive the medicinal purposes of it. You don't, Charlton.
Yeah.
You can ingest it, and it can do the same effect. So smoking it is not the thing. It's in so many liquid and powder forms, Charlton, that it's been reduced to oils that, that will help the body. You can actually rub it on the skin in certain places and get an immediate effect from it. So when we look at, basically eliminating one part of an American industry, that's not going to happen. When we look at the president-elect now, he is definitely not going to allow that to become legal because the tobacco industry is going to pump so much money and has pumped so much money behind him that, it won't even be addressed. You think about the number of lives in America that it can save You know, when we talk about seizures, think about somebody having a stroke, Charles.
Yeah.
And many elderly people have strokes. And if they can have this cannabis in their system almost immediately when they arrive at the hospital, or even the ATMs, Charles.
Yeah.
You know, have it with them to give them an injection of it, to get it into their system to relax the muscle tension that you receive from a stroke, Charles. Think about the life-saving procedure that would have created.
Yeah.
And especially, like you said, with these children that are born having epilepsy. And it's a disease that, when they talk about clinical study, Charles,
Yeah.
it's been around for decades, okay?
Yeah.
Been around for decades. And marijuana has come the closest to any drug, if you want to call it a drug, to ease the symptoms of epilepsy.
Yeah.
But because anybody can grow it, and you eliminate a particular industry in America, the tobacco industry, that has spent billions and billions of dollars in America making their product the number one on the shelf, people who have taken their money don't want to go. It's almost like the gun lobby.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's almost like the right to bear tobacco.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And we know that one causes cancer, and the other one that's legal, they actually prescribe that to you to help deal with some of the side effects. I want to say...
Cancer, it's prescribed for cancer patients, Charles.
Yeah.
So if you have a substance that will cause cancer, and you have the alternative substance to it
Yeah.
that will relieve the pain of cancer, how difficult is that? You know, so when we talk about Congress and the Senate
Yeah.
being about Americans, you vote for these people. These are your constituents. You need to go in and demand, because any law that's ever passed is by them.
Yeah.
So, let them know if they don't pass certain laws, they won't be serving for you in 2 years.
Well, we understand that, Big C. I want to say this segment is sponsored by the California Lottery. What can a buck do for you? I'm telling you, the Powerball on Saturday is up to over $229 million, Big C. Now, don't pour out your moonshine, Big C. You got to win it first before you replace what you have. They always say don't empty one glass before you got another one, like not replacing health care before you have another health care plan. But I do want to acknowledge the great Donald Trump on something. You know, we talked about it being Black History Month, and it'd be nice to see the NFL pay homage to the league's representatives that play on the field. Is about 75% African American. I just hope that they take at least a few minutes to acknowledge Black History Month. I do want to acknowledge POTUS. Donald Trump, I know he has very controversial president, the 45th president of the United States, but he did want to honor Black History Month by thanking Frederick Douglass, and he said that Frederick Douglass is a great American. That means he still thinks he's alive, Big C. And Frederick Douglass, just so you know, he helped Abraham Lincoln craft the Emancipation Proclamation. So I do acknowledge POTUS for acknowledging Black History Month, but he's a few hundred years away with the man's times that he actually contributed to the planet. Just your thoughts on African American History Month, Big C. Your thoughts?
Charlton, it is as much as America's backbone as anything else. And
Yeah.
it's not just because of sports,
Yeah.
but because of its political and social influence into the canvas of America.
Yeah.
When you look at how these leaders have gone out and been trailblazers
Yeah.
in all sides, I think about all the early inventions in American society, especially during slavery, Charlton.
Yeah.
As much as people want to say Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity,
Yeah.
he wasn't out there holding that kite in that electric storm. Some things you just got to be realistic.
Yeah.
And so many inventions throughout American history that could not be claimed
Yeah.
by African Americans because of their status in society, that they were just stolen.
Yeah.
Whether it was in entertainment, whether it was in mechanism, whether it was just in social advancement, Charlton.
Yeah.
They were behind the scenes writing the script and not getting any credit. And so I want to take my hat off
Yeah.
and bow down to all those early trailblazers and even the modern trailblazers, Charlton.
Yeah.
What they have meant to the culture and what they still mean to the culture, and it can never be replaced, and one day it will truly be recognized in all American society.
Well, I do want to add that it was the United States government that injected 400 African American men at the Tuskegee Institute with syphilis to see how they would react to this drug, and they didn't know that they were being given syphilis by our own country, these same men who fought for our country. So when people talk about Black Lives Matter, it's real. So again, I appreciate Donald Trump for bringing up Frederick Douglass. He just didn't know what century he lived in, Big C, because he said he is a great man. But we do want to acknowledge maybe he can get some help with that. But I think it's at least more than what the NFL has done, because they haven't acknowledged anything at all, and hopefully they will. I also want to say that in the world of broadcast, you know, we started Big C Sports during Black History Month or African American History Month just last year, Big C, actually on leap year. And, you know, we have so much that we've accomplished in this short time span. It's not our first, you know, go around in this rodeo of radio, Big C, but it is something that is called real talk. We don't have the same governor. You know, when you go down and you buy that brand new sports car and they put the governor on it, like, why you give me 500 horsepower if I have a governor set at 120? That doesn't make any sense, Big C. So we're like the car that doesn't have the governor on it, Big C. And I want to bring this up because we talk about it so much. Upstart Fox Sports, they're seeing a bump in the Super Bowl, and that's according to an article that was in the USA Today. Fox Sports is now challenging ESPN in the network, and they're chipping away at it because now they're understanding how powerful the NFL is. I do think they allow their broadcasters to be a little bit more cutting edge because they're starting to pull away from some of the great broadcasters that started Big C at ESPN. Your thoughts?
When you look at what these guys, Charlton, they're a little more airy and about what they say. They push them, and that was a big reason that ESPN got rid of a lot of it because of this Disney umbrella that they're in. But you know, sports is real. There are things that are said and did in sports that are not done in everyday life, other than what the president-elect said.
Yeah.
You know, that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but when you look at how important it is, Charlton, because sports now runs 24 hours a day, where it used to. When I was a kid, it had like a 3-4 minute blurb at the end of a news segment.
Yeah.
You know, at 6:30 and at 11 o'clock at night. So, you know, this is how relevant. You know, you think about CNN starting out with a 24-hour news channel.
Yeah.
And then being followed by ESPN with a 24-hour sports channel.
Yeah.
And it has not cut back. You know, you think about the expansion of channels that they have because of the desire of Americans to be exposed to this product and to bring it into their home.
Oh, yeah.
And make it a part of their lives every day at any time of the day.
Yeah, and so what I like, Big C, and I love it because most companies, they don't open up and talk about what they're going to do. I think it was Clear Channel that bought CBS. They bought some stations with CBS. So there's a lot of good old boys losing their jobs because, as you know, when one station acquires another, they're going to go and let go. They're going to reshuffle, or what they call restructuring. And then iHeart Radio will buy a lot of those stations. They'll buy several of those stations because it is the number one media source in the United States for AM and FM. Everybody who's anybody right now is trying to get on the iHeart Radio network, and so I appreciate that we have Big C Sports on there, Big C. And when you think about it, I hope that we can be a caveat for all the people who say they can't find jobs or they can't find work. And you know, even the great Mike Ditka, he was let go. I think Keyshawn Johnson was let go from ESPN. Chris Carter was let go from ESPN. And I think Tom Jackson, he retired from ESPN. There's a lot of good old boys that left ESPN to go to Fox or do their own things. So talk about the importance, Big C. At some point in time, you got to own something. You got to own your own product and compete with the guys that are going to fire you down the road, Big C. What's the importance of ownership in the broadcast business, Big C?
Well, Charlton, it's the open window. Because when you think about it, they're always looking for that fresh breath.
Yeah.
And all the time, it's not just a fresh breath, a pretty face.
Yeah.
As we see it so much now, they'll say that somebody's gotten chiseled and edgy. But that's what sports is about. You know, if you go out there thinking that you're playing sports, I've seen guys, Charlton, playing, you know, table tennis.
Yeah.
You know, the Asians play, and these guys are vicious.
Yeah.
Okay, I watch female tennis players courtside smashing rackets out of frustration. That's vicious. Okay, so how do you expect the same, you know, lack of energy from a sports broadcaster? You got to bring me something to both.
Yeah.
You know, to let me know that you understand and that you're into it. Don't sit there and say, wow, you know, that was different. That, you know, she could sit there and smashed up that racket and,
yeah.
You know, where's her temperament? You know, where do you think her temperament is? She's pissed off. You know, you need to understand that.
Yeah.
You know, you need to have a sports broadcaster that has an intuitiveness about them, Charlton.
Yeah.
And we're not getting that anymore. You know, it's almost like when you hire a sports broadcaster, you have to hire a makeup artist with them.
Yeah.
Because they're so concerned about how pretty they are and dust them up between commercials.
Wait a minute, Big C. Julio Jones, he was wearing makeup, but he was down there fishing. I think I think ESPN did a skit with him. He put on makeup. Nobody said anything about Julio Jones. In fact, he may have put some makeup on his toe because he put on makeup, and now they say he has a toe ache. Big C, is there a correlation?
Well, you wonder why he couldn't catch any fish with no challenge to the fish.
Yeah.
They looked up through the water, so he was soft. They weren't worried about, fighting on the end of that hook.
Yeah.
Leave that alone. We'll wait on a real fisherman to come along. But, the challenges of sports are the challenges of real life, Charlton.
Yeah.
So you have to go out and you have to pursue to be better and more aggressive than the next. And we don't get that as much now in these broadcasters. They all have their spot taped on the floor in a broadcast where they have to stand, don't move, stay right here.
Yeah.
This is going to deliver the best ones. Read the script, don't deviate from it because you don't really know anything about the game. If you read the script, it'll make you sound like an expert.
Yeah.
There's no emotion given to the games anymore, Charlton. They're just not. Most people who knew the game for years
Yeah.
have been let go. They're gone by the wayside. When we think about great broadcasters, it's been around for 20, 30, some even 40 years.
Look at Brent Musburger, Big C. Brent Musburger.
Keith Jackson, the guy that was on CBS during the games, college football.
Yeah.
Vern Lindquist.
Yeah.
We just lost, the guy from the Dodgers, the broadcaster.
Oh, Scully, Vin Scully.
Vin Scully, and also the gentleman that was with NBC Sports for decades.
Was it Dick Enberg? Dick Enberg, I believe.
Dick Enberg. These people were trailblazers. They built so much in the sports. And you also look at the demotion of someone like a Pam Oliver.
Yeah.
Who started in the box with CBS.
And she's
she
excellent.
was the main game sideline reporter. Now she's buried way down, and she might get 10 minutes a game, 10
Yeah.
seconds a game, Charles.
Yeah.
So because, they're not giving her that option. So, her expertise is not what they want. They want some pretty face that, appeals to them. And, I don't know if they're talking about it appeals to the audience or is it appealing to the producer.
Yeah. Well, they do have some legal issues posted on the wall about, you can't treat people differently based on their gender, so we understand that. I also want to say this segment is sponsored by United Labor, guaranteed life insurance up to $100,000. We are also endorsed by the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society. We work with all of the unions in America under the AFL-CIO. And the big thing about that I'm really proud of about Big C Sports is we're looking to hire over 1,000 licensed insurance brokers because we simply want to put people back to work. It's funny, I was just seeing how I think it was Intercom that bought CBS, some stations up here in Northern California, and they're firing people. Here we are telling people, even if it's just the insurance industry, tweet out the Big C Sports at Yes Charlton on Twitter, and we're looking to put people to work. So don't say you can't find a job, just say you don't want to look for one. And when it comes to broadcast, we're encouraging people to compete with what we're doing. Don't just run from it. That's part of what makes our country great, is competition. And when I look at what happened with Fox Sports, they had such a big bump, Big C, from the Big C World Series. You went up with the Cleveland Indians and the Chicago Cubs, and now they have the Super Bowl telecast on Sunday. If you think about it, they've introduced a couple of new shows because that's competition. That's either going to make ESPN better, or in the way that Big C Sports looks at it, competition is good for all of the broadcast brethren. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, all the broadcast companies look at the ratings. They do. They see who's hot. They want to try to tweak their programming to make someone else listen to them. And we talked about and witnessed all the plagiarism since we've been on air.
Yeah.
We'll do a show and we'll listen to ourselves tomorrow, if not the next day.
Yeah.
But it's about delivering what the fan truly wants to hear. Being honest to the fan, giving them the insight, letting them know, and when you're not possessed with many players in these broadcast scenarios on studio shows, other than a sidebar, let's defer to this one over here on this question. Then you move back away, and here it is, you're trying to give an analyst to what an expert has already said, who has the insight on the game. So when, it's like going into this game.
Yeah.
And when we look at quarterbacks in the past decade, who've been the hottest quarterbacks in the NFL, Charlton, they generally have not been victorious in the Super Bowl. Look at the last few Super Bowls.
Yeah.
The hottest quarterbacks have not been victorious. Cam Newton, Peyton Manning, Russell Wilson, you go on up and down the line, Charlton. When you look at these quarterbacks, Peyton Manning even twice, So, these are things that have not always panned out. The best offense does not always win this game. Yes, it will get you to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But, to have, someone who understands the game let you know that, the defense
Yeah.
That walks out there, has that normal breathing rhythm, say, hey, this ball, let's play. Man up. That's the team that has the advantage. Not the team that takes 6 to 7 to 10 minutes to get their legs under them because the game might be out of hand by then, Charlton. So you can't let a game like this awe you. Yes, it's the biggest game of the season.
Yeah.
But still, you have to put that jock on in the locker room to walk out there.
Well, Big C, that's interesting because if you look at Fox, the main Fox News, and even if they have news, I don't even know anymore, but they are the parent brother, the big brother of Fox Sports 1, and they're both owned by Century 21 Fox. And they brought us some shows called The Undisputed, and they also have Colin Cowherd, and they have Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. And they have a show where they always have, everybody likes what they like. Maybe people will like or hate, no matter who they are. But the only challenge I have with Colin Cowherd, sometimes I don't know what show I'm watching because they have, like, every 5 minutes they bring in a new person. It's almost like you ever have someone who changes the TV every time, like every 5 minutes you're watching one program, you turn around, they're flipping channels on you, Big, so you don't know who you're really watching. And sometimes that's what I feel like I'm seeing, but it's working for them. I think they're paying them about $5 million, Skip Bayless at least. But whether it's Undisputed or Shannon Sharp or Skip Bayless or Colin Cowherd, everybody has a chance to do what they're doing. And I even believe that ESPN former analyst Chris Carter, he was recently hired by Fox Sports 1. So a lot of guys that find themselves changing shoes or changing teams or changing companies, it's an open door policy. You can be hired and fired, and they really don't have to tell you why. It just depends on who that producer wants. So as a former athlete yourself, Big C, talk to some of the people that are going to college, that trying to study media. They want to go down and cover the Super Bowl. They want to cover the NBA Finals. They want to cover the World Series or even the college football national championship, whether it's basketball or baseball or football. What do they have to know getting into the game? If that teleprompter breaks, a lot of those people, they wouldn't have jobs to this day. What makes you know how to go back 40 and 50 years? You're not Googling, you don't have teleprompter, you don't have someone whispering in your ear, other than some of those memories you have caused by that moonshine you're drinking. What do they have to know to get better? What advice would you give them, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, attentiveness, Charlton, to have your finger on the pulse of what's going on. Pay attention to a game when you're watching.
Yeah.
Listen to the other broadcasts because you have to do it. They're right there and they feel the pulse of a game. So when you're paying attention, don't worry about the guy taking a three-point shot. Don't worry about the guy leaping over the goal line. Don't worry about the guy with the slap shot on the hockey game, Charlton. Worry about what you see and what you hear. That's the education that's going on behind the game, the insight, because you have someone alive that they're feeling the pulse of the arena, the stadium, Charlton.
Yeah.
These are the things that magnetize a game, that polarize everything that you get, how you feel. But this is why when you see college football, basketball on television,
yeah,
they have these mics set around so you hear this pulsating noise throughout the game. And the intensity seems even greater than what it is at a pro game.
Yeah.
But it's intentionally built that way because pro games don't have all the excitement around at a college game. There's all the extracurricular activity. They don't have all these cheerleaders. They don't have other little things going on, mascots generally per se, that are interactive.
Yeah.
So, it's almost like it's scripted. It has to be created. But, as an aspiring journalist, Charlton,
yeah,
you have to really practice your craft, just like an athlete. You have to practice your craft. You can't show up on game day and say, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
It's not like that. When you come in unprepared, you find yourself unemployed.
Well, that's true. And sometimes, as you know, you say the wrong thing and they'll get you off the air. I know it's a bit controversial, and maybe it should be, but especially in Here We Are Black History Month, there was, I think it was Al Campanis back in the day, and he had some things to say that someone ran and looked like a monkey running up and down the field. I think it was someone that played for the Washington Redskins, can't remember his name, and also people like Jimmy the Greek. Sometimes people can say things, and we say things too that people don't always like, but that's part of having freedom of speech. But if you have someone pumping in your ear, sometimes they don't like that, and that can cost you. That's the drawback on TV. A lot of people don't give you a chance to make more than one mistake. Making one mistake or saying something foolish, and we tend to do it quite often, Big C, especially after we drink every now and then, that smooth stuff, that smooth Gatorade. That should not cost someone a job. Just have them come out and apologize, and don't act like everybody has to be perfect. But I do look at a guy like Fox Sports executive Jamie Horowitz, and he's done a great job building Fox Sports 1. I think as we're building Big C Sports, it's so important that you always keep your autonomy. You got to keep it real. You got to do what's right for you. And just like we learned by the great, it was in the Straight Outta Compton, Ice Cube, it was Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, and even Snoop Dogg was in that part of that group down in L.A. They started doing it their way. Like Frank Sinatra, you got to do it your way, whether you succeed or fail. If you do it your way, you have a better chance of succeeding in this world of broadcast. And I want to say this too, Big C. You brought up the great Irv Cross back in the day. You also brought up Pam Oliver. There's so many people of color that want to get in this business, and sometimes there's just not enough room for them because they already have one. You know, we already have an African American, and oftentimes they'll hire a female over a male, and that's just part of the business. But you got to create your own program the same way we create our own music industry, the same way we create our own Hollywood, whether it's a Spike Lee. That's something that I'm really proud of you, Big C, because you brought this Big C Sports to the universe, and a lot of times what we talk about we hear repeated, and that's fine. We're all part of that, brethren. So again, I just want to close out this segment by asking you again, if you're speaking to anyone, whether it's male or female, someone that wants to be something, they just don't know how to do it. We all need someone to hold our hand. What advice again would you give to them about going out and just doing what you're applying for? Your thoughts?
Be innovative, Jonathan. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You gotta take that leap of faith. And that's what sports is. When you go out and try out for a sporting team, Jonathan, you're taking the leap of faith. Everybody's not going to make it, but you got to be willing to do that little bit extra. And when we look at this world of broadcasting,
yeah,
those that are edgy, I mean, people have lambasted Howard Stern forever. But look at the global audience he has.
Yeah.
As dirty as he is.
And he's crazy. Yeah.
You know, he has this global audience because so much of America is like that. And that's what they think, and he's their voice.
Yeah.
And he's real. You know, he doesn't go to work in a suit and tie, Jonathan. He looks like the guy down at the drug house trying to get away cocaine.
Will he be under stop and frisk when Donald Trump signs that in the law, Big C?
They will bypass it, but, you know, you see how he just looks suspicious
yeah,
in every way, and he voices that.
Yeah.
But, you know, his followings have been that way. You know, this is what they believe in. They believe in the verbiage of him, and it's grown expeditionally over time. And so when you're looking at this industry, regardless of your age or gender, look at this industry with passion, that you have something that you can stick to your guns about, and you can go out and deliver that message daily whenever you're on, and stay consistent. Always expand upon it, but stay consistent. That's what your listening and viewing audience really wants, Charlton.
Well, Big C, I think that's very true. I also want to say that this segment is sponsored by One Life America Life Insurance. We're the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. And tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports with yes on Twitter. And we're looking to hire over 1,000 insurance brokers nationwide to go to work. And we will also pay your E&O insurance up to $1 million per agent. Now, who does that? You can get that with One Life America Life Insurance. Just tweet out to Big C Sports at yes Charlton on Twitter, and we'll make sure that we take care of that. Big C, do you ever pay $1 million for anything, or is everything still just given to you, Big C, because you have those championship rings when you walk around? Even going to the dentist, I think they don't even charge you because you got all that bling on your fingers, Big C.
Well, we try to negotiate. We try to negotiate.
Yeah.
Everyone likes a smooth journey.
Yeah.
If you walk out and the lobby has a couple of cases of something that might go along with your speed and relaxation or some afternoon bliss,
yeah,
people appreciate that, and they just say, hey, have a great day.
That's funny.
It's all about treating others how you want to be treated, John.
Yeah.
When you deliver a broadcast, make sure it's a broadcast that you want to hear.
Yeah.
It's not a broadcast made up in your windows.
Yeah.
Make it a broadcast that you want to hear, not that you want to say. That's the key in this industry, whether it's news, whether it's sports. Be real. Don't sit up and play Fox News where every other word is alternative truth.
Yeah.
And say, this is how intelligent America is.
Yeah.
You can tell them alternative truth, and they believe it. And so many people have bought into that, Charlton. It's just not how we should operate and function as an intelligent society.
Well, I do believe that, Big C. So another thing that's important to me, we just got this contract in, and we're doing this thing with athletic insurance, whether you're a college team or a professional team or even a high school team, we can get you a quote anywhere in the country. We're in all 50 states to make sure that we can assure your athletic events and also your sporting events. You get that on Big C Sports because we want to make sure that people have options, and that's why we're expanding what we've done in the sports industry. I'm going to be doing a speaking engagement up in Nevada coming up, and it's all about coaches and athletes, about college and high school coaches and athletes attending that. That's also a part of Big C Sports, and just doing more things coming up around the globe, Big C. So I do appreciate that. I do want to take a little bit of time to just get into a little bit of college basketball before we close out on some of your thoughts on Super Bowl Sunday coming up, Big C. I just want to say tonight's games, we have William and Mary, their 3-point favorite over Northwestern. Florida's favorite by 21 points over Missouri. It's still weird to have Missouri being part of the SEC. And Charlotte's a 6-point favorite over FAU. University of North Carolina, Wilmington, they're an 8.5 point favorite over College of Charleston. I'm going with College of Charleston, Big C. I don't care what the point spread is. And you have Oakland, a 6.5 point favorite over Youngstown State. Cleveland State is 6 point favorite over Detroit. And then you have Nebraska with a pick against Michigan State. Big C, I know college football has always been something that people follow outside of the NFL and NBA. In college basketball, it's always exciting once we get into the tournament. Right now, because it's hard to follow so many players that don't stick with the universities, it's hard to get too excited about it, but it doesn't seem to stop the college kids from filling stadiums. Do you ever wish that you were still young again, Big C? You can go back to your college days where you could walk around where it didn't hurt so much, like Earl Campbell, Big C. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Everybody strives for youthfulness.
Yeah.
But also, you don't want to put your body through that aggravation. And I appreciate watching college football because I know that's the future endeavors of the professional league.
Yeah.
That's the feeder pool. And those players are going to go out and hopefully make the game better, represent the universities with class, and go out and be model citizens, Shelton. But, when you think about all of what these players do, and those who don't make it, those are the ones that you have to think about. How do you help them?
Yeah.
Not the millionaires who make it. How do you help those, Shelton, who don't get that opportunity when, you go to a team and they're 10 deep at the position they bring you in as a free agent.
Yeah.
And the aspect of you making that team is very bleak because they need you for 2 preseason games.
Yeah.
They'll pay you, but that's a heck of an investment to get a live dummy versus a blocking swing.
It's always funny how when you bring that up and you have everybody that wants to be a pro, it reminds me of this college signing day, and they had a couple of kids that were trying to fool the audience as to what team they were going to play on, and they would have on a shirt, maybe a guy was going to USC, but under that shirt he had Florida or he had Georgia, and they were trying to play the game of kind of confusing the audience and the media as to who they were going to play for. I think it's kind of fun that the kids are having fun with it, but at the same time, it's a business, and they got to be prepared for the business no matter who they play for. And when you get into a college, all bets are off. Now you're under the tutelage of that coach and that administration, and many of them, they may not care for you the same way maybe your parents did back in the day, so they really got to have a handle on what they're doing, Big C, no matter who they sign with. I just want to finish up a little bit of scores that's coming up in some of the games coming up tonight out here in the world of college basketball. We have some big games on the West Coast. We have Gonzaga playing at BYU, and then St. Mary's is playing at UOP in Stockton, which ironically doesn't have a football program anymore, even though they're one of the older universities in California. And then Arizona State is playing at Oregon. So as much as we talk about paying athletes, Big C, and they should get compensated, why would a university like UOP in Stockton, which has some great athletes, even the great Pete Carroll played football there, they cancel a football program, not because there's not enough money coming in, but because the money's going to the wrong hands and they didn't want to keep supporting that program, Big C. How do we keep colleges funded if they're not going to pay the students? How do they run out of money, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you had the president talk about he's going to take away grant money from these states that have sanctuary cities. Think about how many college programs are.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Grant money,
yeah.
Because they have sanctuary cities. So not only are you talking about taking away, government grant money, but you're talking about taking away educational money. These are the things that are never discussed when you look at the people who support him, that he's constantly spewing, we're going to eliminate education in America in every way.
Yeah.
So when you talk about bringing jobs back,
Yeah.
This is what the leader of our country is supposed to do. Advanced education should be number one. I mean, he's talking about military buildup. 51% of the national budget right now, talking the tax budget, goes to the military.
Yeah.
It's the most funded program in the United States. But education, Jonathan, probably sits down there around 4% of the national budget. So when we talk about the need, and when you don't have education, then the alternative is for these people to take jobs in the military. That's not building up the American economy, Jonathan, at all. Because those people are on base. Those people are positioned around the world. They're not investing their dollars on U.S. soil.
Well, I tell you, when you think about, it's always a heartfelt thing when you have to say you can or cannot go to college because you don't have the money. And this thing that we talk about with players and athletes making schools, basically from the college level, you're talking about combined billions of dollars being traded hands on a weekly basis because of the college and the free labor. And when a program like UOP goes away, and they're really in the heart of California in the Central Valley, and they lose football, which was the number one income earner for them, they keep basketball, but there's always a way to build a new stadium somewhere, whether it's football or hockey arena or a baseball stadium. There's never a lack of money. It's just a matter of who gets it. And that's why, even with this focus on the Super Bowl coming up, I hope there's still a focus on how do we take the time to get these college athletes some money. If we don't do that, Big C, it just keeps more people living in financial peril. Before we touch on the NFL, I want to just say in the top 10 for college basketball, you have West Virginia, followed by Gonzaga. And West Virginia's 18-4. Gonzaga is 22-0, Big C. And they're up in the great state of Washington. Kentucky, Adolph Rupp Arena territory. They're 18-4. And you have the great Louisville, and they are 18-4 as well. Villanova, last year's national championship. They're right back at it again. Villanova, they're 20-2 on the season, followed by Kansas. Who goes to Kansas to play basketball when you leave LA or New York City or Philadelphia? But a lot of kids do that. You have Virginia at 16-4. Number 8 is the great North Carolina. They're 19-4, followed by number 9 Duke at 19-3. And then you have Wisconsin. They're at 19-3, Big C. So again, the world of college basketball, these great programs, they're all aiming for the Final Four. No compensation for the players. Most of these coaches are making at least $1 million, Big C. Some of them make as much as $9 million when it comes to Coach Kujarewski, but still no talk about that, Big C. Before we get on NFL, will there ever be a push, even talking in the NFL, this Super Bowl game, their feeder systems, college football, will there be any talk on trying to find compensation for these young student athletes, Big C, or is it just Big C Sports that's going to bring it up, Big C?
Well, we don't know what's going to bring it out to the mainstream, Jonathan.
Yeah.
It's not a comfortable scenario to tell people how they've been taken advantage of, manipulated for their financial gain. Not the athletes, but the people who are utilizing them. Whether it's coaches, whether it's the broadcast companies, we'll toss you a sandwich at the end of the game. Take you to the athletic training table where you can go get a warm plate.
Oh, they gave you guys warm plates. You must have had it good, Big C. They gave us cold. I ate so much top ramen. I thought my name was Top Ramen. And I tell you, top ramen and cheese, that's what I used to have on a date, Big C. That's when you really run the girl away. So just for you good old boys know, no more top ramen and cheese dates, okay, Big C? Go ahead, sir.
Is that what you call packing it in?
Yeah.
Because, these athletes, the NCAA has to find a way to be kind.
Yeah.
Not saying, well, just be kind.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. When we look at the amount of money that these universities are going to haul in, think about the Super Bowl, Jonathan.
Yeah.
When you're talking about $4 million 30-second ads.
How much?
That's a lot of money. $4 million for 30 seconds.
30 seconds?
That's a lot of money. So when we think about how that would benefit a lot of children in America, instead of this non-profit football organization.
Yeah.
We've all built it up to what it is. But it's non-profit. The owners don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
They do not pay taxes. And that's what the fan has to understand. You pay taxes on the ticket that you purchase.
Yeah.
But the owner does not pay taxes on the money that you pay him. A very interesting scenario that is allowed to, a little clause in the tax code. But, I hope for the best for all the players in the game.
Yeah.
Everyone comes out healthy and we have a speedy, safe game, Jonathan, and not too long at the halftime show. We know over the years there's been a half hour you can go out and barbecue a steak at halftime.
Yeah, that's funny, Big Z.
I'm looking forward to a great competition. I'm looking forward to some excellent overall team play, Johnson. I just want to see a competitive game, for at least 58 minutes.
Well, Big C, let me ask you, when it comes back to a competitive game, and I just want to say, for all of you business owners out there that are looking to get more funding, do it the same way the NFL owners do it. It's called business credit. I think the gentleman that owns the Falcons, Arthur Blank, and then you have the gentleman, Mr. Kraft, that owns the New England Patriots. I doubt if their credit cards are based on their personal credit. They probably have some type of business funding. Would that make sense, Big C? Or are they charging up their American Express cards? Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, they're looking around at the NFL line of credit, Johnson. They're not investing any money in it. People are so happy to be a part of the NFL that they just give you any and everything.
Yeah.
And that's, if society can be that way, that you'd help out the layman person. When you take the CEO of JP Morgan and make him the Treasury Secretary.
Yeah.
He wouldn't lend money to people during the housing crisis, Johnson.
Yeah.
How is he going to help the American economy now?
Yeah.
Now that he's running the national treasury. So, America, grab your bootstraps and hang on for the ride. Don't tense up. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Don't tense up.
Yeah.
It'll be less painful, most likely.
Yeah.
This is how we have to look at society.
Yeah.
Don't run over American society. Just like in sports, you get so many athletes run over and shipped out the minute they get an injury, Charles.
Yeah.
It's not about humanality. It's about financiality.
Well, Big C, there's a gentleman, again, we talked about Coward Turley, and you know a lot of guys. I think the most honest movie about the NFL, and we all love it. We all love it. North Dallas 40, and they talked about that. And you mention it all the time, too. They talked about Julio Jones, and his toe, and if he's going to play, obviously, but this is the least healthiest time of year for NFL athletes. And I bring that up, Big C, because Turley was talking about that, and he's even doing something with the great Mike Ditka. And they were talking about this cannabis. I'm just pro-health. I don't care where it comes from. I myself am on some medications that are prescribed by doctors, and that's fine too. But I would rather have the truth be told about how do we keep guys safe. We don't want guys walking around with CTE, trying to end their lives. Unfortunately, the great, Junior Seau, and you have the gentleman, Mike Webster. A lot of guys. Yeah.
And Charlton, there's been players that, went under the radar that
oh, yeah.
people don't know about because they weren't the stars on Sunday. They were just teammates. And so many of them have catastrophically lost their lives, Charlton, because this Rashad Salah just a little over a month ago.
Yeah.
Former #1 draft pick, Heisman Trophy winner of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
So we've had this happen too often. Once was too many times. But we've had it happen too often because players cannot get the help from NFL. And it goes back to the Commissioner Paul Tagliabue, Dalton.
Yeah.
When he said he didn't feel the concussions were a concern in the NFL, yet he had the case studies
wow.
in the 80s and 90s. But he would not let it be known because he felt that it may damage the game as far as American interest and cost them money
wow.
from investors. But, they put, finances over human life.
Yeah.
They were not advancing the health technology to players fast enough. Yet when you think about your nonprofit organization, you also get equal funding from the government, Joe.
Yeah.
So whatever monies that the NFL invests as far as research, trauma research, the American government matches it, Joe.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're out of pocket and on the hook for it all. The American government seeks this. But the NFL said, well, we have to spend some of our money, so that's going to cut down on our profit and our nonprofit organization. So we'll just get some new players.
Well, Big C, that's so important. And I think about some of my heroes, and I'm not saying I have a hero as far as, I don't worship any man. I think people are just people, but I do admire athletes that can get it done, whether it's a Barry Bonds hitting a home run, or whether it's a Mark McGwire hitting a home run, or a Michael Jordan dunking a basketball, or Steph Curry hitting a three and setting the record for hitting three-point baskets, or whether it was Mike Tyson back in the day when he was knocking guys out in the first round, Big C, and, or just seeing anyone who's at the top of their game, Tiger Woods when he's golfing like he's on top of the world, or one of the Williams sisters, Serena Williams, the way she's dominated, the world of tennis. I love seeing athletes compete at the top. But I know people talk about the best athletes in the world are NBA basketball players, and maybe they are because a lot of them are just big and they're gifted and they're inclined. But there's no tougher athletes than football players. Tell me any sport where somebody lines up across the line from another man and they're smashing into each other for almost 70 plays a game, Big C, offensively and defensively, and the only way the play ends is with an explosion of body parts hitting each other. And then you got to get up and do it again within about 35 to 45 seconds. That's a tough game. And if you're hurt, they tell you just get over it. But you know, with the case of Dr. Amalo, and you brought up tackling boot, I'm glad you did. But I know a lot of times Goodell takes a lot of flack. But I will give Goodell some credit here. He's at least willing to stand up to the patriarch of the NFL right now, and I would say that's Kraft when it comes to winning. He's able to stand up to him and the prodigal quarterback of the NFL and Tom Brady. He's willing to stand up to that, and he can't please everybody, but he's at least concerned about the CTE issue and the players in the NFL. And so even when Turley talks about wanting to commit suicide, a lot of it based on that the opiates he was taking and other painkillers prescribed, and now that he's on this THC through the cannabis, he's much healthier and easier to be around. I hope that Goodell would put some more thought into science and not worry about someone's political affiliation. Does that make any sense, Big C?
Well, Jonathan, you look at how he goes after everybody.
Yeah.
So when they have any hint of any type of awful drug scenario,
yeah,
when they take a test, and he's quick to hand out suspensions for a player not wanting to hurt. We hear so much about things on the banned substance list. This thing must look like a TV guide. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know you don't know what a TV guide is.
No, what's a TV guide? I just Google everything.
Well, they had only 4 channels, but you're not seeking to aid the players.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because you can get turnover, and what fans always need to understand, when you get them in younger, they're less expensive. You get some of these players, you look at a Brock Osweiler,
yeah,
who Houston is on the hook for next year for more than what New England is with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether they retain him or release him, they're on the hook for an excess of $20 million.
Wow.
For a quarterback that doesn't have a body of work. So, does anyone really talk about him bad? Maybe a couple of reporters.
Yeah.
But, he was crap when he got to Houston. He was crap, during the season.
Yeah.
He has the lowest completion percentage, Charlton, of quarterbacks. He's the 3rd lowest in quarterback history of completion percentage of passes over 15 yards, Charlton. You know who the other 2 are?
Who's that?
Two other former first-round draft picks, Jamarcus Russell and Brady Quinn. And I can't remember the last time either one of them put a uniform on.
Wow. And Jamarcus Russell played at LSU, and Brady Quinn played at the great Notre Dame, Big C. Yeah, that's true.
But neither one of those guys are productive, and he's in that same category. And people still have the gall to say, well, he has promise and upside. Well, what? The only thing he has upside on is taking his uniform off and hanging it on
That's funny. You can also contribute that to moonshine. And to come down to maybe the final several minutes of the program, Big C, I know there's so much talk and Tom Brady and Matt Ryan and who will be the MVP of this game. And ironically, I think it may come down to the guys that line up right behind both quarterbacks, Big C, in the running game, because we know that both guys can pass the football. And I think the last interception that has been thrown by the Atlanta Falcons and Ryan was when he was picked up by Barry in the game against Kansas City, and they lost that game on a 2-point touchdown, actually conversion, when they were going for a 2, and Barry picked it off and ran over 100 yards for the score. And I believe that they've scored on 8 of their last first possessions in a row for Atlanta. Now, if they can do that in this game against a Belichick defense, if they can score in their first possession against New England, that really puts Atlanta in the starter seat, because both teams are going to have to put up points. The over-under in this game is still 58 points. And Big C, miraculously, it could go over that, Big C. Someone would not have a hard time betting the over, Big C. I mean, I'm not a betting guy. Maybe I got to call Charles Barkley for that. But do you think 58 is too low when both teams can put up a lot of points in a hurry, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I think that line will move, Charlton. I don't know how much it will move, but I think it's going to move upwards, and it's going to be plus 60 going into the Super Bowl. I mean, we know that New England has the #1 defense, but this is a game where Atlanta has a strike force offense.
Yeah.
And New England is going to have to play catch-up throughout this game to compete with Atlanta.
Yeah.
They can do it. They can score, but it's one of those games that's going to be rapid fire. It's going to be great for fanfare. People going to question defensive plays, defensive calls. But, it's going to come down to a big play on defensive special teams.
Yeah.
That will make the difference in this game, but it's going to be a high-scoring affair.
Well, Big C, I know that you I love when I talk to you about what you watch, because we're all hooked on, Julio Jones. We're looking at Tom Brady, and we're looking at, what we're going to see out of the quarterbacks. But defensively, who turns you on defensively? The schemes of these defenses. Atlanta's going to have to blitz. I think the key to getting to New England, it was already shown to us by the Denver Broncos when they beat them in the AFC Championship game just last year. It was blitz, and blitz, Big C. That has to be the way you slow down that offense and force them to throw the ball short, because that will prevent them from stretching the field. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you look at the defensive perspective, Jonathan, that's what you got in the head coaches. And you got both of these head coaches that made a couple of appearances in the Super Bowl prior to becoming head coaches. So they learned a lot being defensive coordinators, Bill Belichick and the guy from Atlanta.
Yeah.
These guys have understood the pressures of the game, so the game won't get to either one of them. When you look at it, they're prepared. They know how to relax and walk into these situations. So it's nothing new, that it resonates to their players. When you look at New England, they have 21 players from the last Super Bowl. And you look at Atlanta, they only have 5 players on their roster that have played in a Super Bowl.
Wow.
So these are teams, when you go out there, how will nerves affect you? That's an athlete. Athletes have nerves like anybody else, Charlton. If you haven't been in a situation before, how to handle it. But those players who recognize this as a game will come out victorious.
Well, Big C, when it comes down to that, I know what people love about the Super Bowl is it's a worldwide event. It's really American sports and teamship, sportsmanship and teamwork being put on a pedestal, not just for the United States audience, but this is a worldwide event. At last year's Super Bowl, I met people from all over the globe, Big C, and they came to San Francisco just to watch the Super Bowl. And I know there's so many things about sports that will actually bring our society together. And I know we have some people who are saying, let's run away from politics. No, don't run away from anything. Just keep it real. If it's raining outside, don't you say it's raining. You don't say it's not raining. You got to talk about what's real. So, Big C, in the last 30 seconds, I just want to get your thoughts again on what you're going to look forward to in this Super Bowl in the last 30 seconds, Big C.
Well, Jonathan, like I said, I'm looking for a team to get off to a fast start. I'm looking for excellent sportsmanship. But, like I said, most of all, I'm looking for former President Bush to do the coin toss at the beginning of the game. We know we have tremendous athletes.
Yeah.
But this has been a tremendous world leader that's had some health issues, Jonathan. And we talk about society and sports being galvanizing. This isn't something that's galvanizing.
Yeah.
To have a former world leader who said this game means so much to him that the hospital couldn't hold him back.
Yeah.
That's Americana, Jonathan. That's Americana. And he's not looking at this from political rhetoric, Jonathan. He's looking at this as mending this country, going out there, drawing the country together, him and the former First Lady Barbara Bush, Jonathan.
Well, Big C, that's very well said. I want to tell everybody, no matter what you do, go enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll close out our Super Bowl coverage tomorrow on Big C Sports. I want to say every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide, full of Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network. And we also tell you there's never any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any woman in trouble or anyone grabbing a woman by the crotch, call 911. No woman should have to go to that garbage all on her own. And every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the iHeart Radio Network. And as we always tell you on every program, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.